All right. And here they are. Dr. Kyle is back off of his little vacation. And then our first guest and our last guest of the season is the same guest on National Women in Sports Day. How lucky. Sometimes you can do all the research and plan and get on the right side of every bet that you possibly can. And to have such a wonderful guest on the show on National Women in Sports Day is pretty rad. So here she is. She's back. It is Rosalie Michaels, the fantasy girl.
Doing good. It's still kind of surreal. In Sports Day, right? The women in sports media, and I'm a part of that. I am a part of that whole a movement. I don't think it's a movement. You go back and talk to little 5-year-old Rosalie, who was just watching football with stars in her eyes, and say, this is what you're going to be doing one day. I think she'd be floored. So I'm so proud of what women are doing in sports, and the fact that the community has really embraced us as fans, as analytical minds, as reporters, as all of the things, right? As players, as athletes, it's all really coming. It's just getting bigger and bigger, and I love it. And I'm a little choked up right now.
Well, we are grateful to have you back on. And, I said before I hit record, we didn't plan this. I saw the movement and I was like, of all the days to have Rosalie back on, because I don't really think of it that way. I just think about really intelligent, football-minded guest that's going to bring the most to our audience and group. And it wasn't the fact that you're a woman. It's because you're awesome. It's because you're good at this. And, you're going to be a benefit to us and the show. And, I need that because normally I'm hanging out with this other guy who, is out vacationing, snowboarding with his lovely wife and dogs, while I'm over here slaving over a hot microphone, throwing out props last week. But it's Dr. Kyle, man. How was your week of vacation with Mrs. Dr. Kyle and the pups?
It was good. It was a staycation. I wasn't away, but it was good to honestly, it was good to clear my mind a little bit of football, give me a chance to really think about the Super Bowl a lot. But, the more I thought about it, Memphis, really one word comes to mind today. And, oh, no, I had all this shit planned. There we go. Memphis. This is what I want to do right now. We got one game left to talk about this year. What the hell? Didn't we just start this shit like a month ago? That's what it feels like.
It really does. Feels like just like last week or maybe a couple of weeks ago that I was taking the under 7.5 wins for the Arizona Cardinals, and you guys are telling me to go over, and you see where I'm sitting today. Luckily Baker couldn't go over 3,900 passing yards, so I got a couple of my season long props back. But it's good to have the week one band back together. Yeah, well, while we were waiting on Dr. Kyle, hashtag story of my life, Rosalie and I were
story of my wife's life.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a doctor. I think it's part of the commitment of getting your doctorate that you have to make people wait.
Yeah, right.
But we were talking like this is the best of times, the worst of times. It's the best game of the year, a great matchup. Tom Brady. All day long, I've been looking at. This was the movie that was in the box office when Tom Brady was born, and the one that really hit me was that Tom Brady was born when Ken Griffey Sr. was an all-star outfielder for the Reds, and Patrick Mahomes was born when Ken Griffey Jr. was an all-star outfielder for the Mariners. So we're getting a really, really awesome game, but it's the last game. Now, Rosalie will still be doing stuff out there in sports media. Me and Dr. Kyle, we're going to drop down to one show a month. We will, we'll do some season-long props as those hit the board. We will be doing draft-based props as we get closer to the NFL draft. So we're not done here. We're just going to take a few-week break and focus on our dynasty business. What's up, Kyle?
I was also thinking, what if we just pick like a random hockey game, random lacrosse game? We'll just hop on a Wednesday night for shits and giggles, 10 minutes, and we'll just do whatever we can to prepare for a game that we really have no narrative commitment to. But yeah, just do like maybe like a couple days. We'll look at a game ahead and be like,
I'm
you want to
laying
see us play Duke this week? Let's take the over on 21.5 goals.
I don't even know how to bet
Did you
hockey.
say 21.5 goals?
That was the lacrosse one. Sorry, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow. Well,
I'm
you
going.
don't watch hockey, do you?
I'm hammering the under. I know enough about hockey to know I'm hammering under 21.
I think the over/under for every hockey game is 4.5 or 5.5.
Yeah.
Pre-game.
Yeah, well, we have got a lot of props to cover tonight, so we're going to save the game till the very end. Now, out of both Courtesy One, they have literally, and we're sponsored by mybookie.ag, but Rosalie is affiliated with DraftKings, and DraftKings literally had the best and the fastest lines up around a lot of these props and a lot of this action. So everything that we'll be referring to tonight primarily is DraftKings related. So I'm going to start with our guest. Rosalie, do you have a favorite non-player related prop to talk about?
There's so many. There's really some good ones, right? Now, when we talk non-player related props, so I've got two really good ones that I like. One is kind of a player related, but it's more, I would call it a referee related. It's the roughing the passer penalty. It's plus 100 if there's a roughing the passer penalty, which in today's NFL, where they're always protecting the quarterback, there's going to be a roughing the passer penalty. It's going to happen. Somebody's going to get knocked down. Somebody's going to get a flag. So plus 100 on roughing the passer, I think that's pretty good.
I like that, especially with two of the most protected quarterbacks in the league in this day and age. You have Mahomes, who's the young up and coming guy, and Brady, who has been the face of the league for so long. That's a good one.
Well, plus, Brady's not going to be able to move.
No.
Brady's
and Mahomes is probably the least mobile he's been since his knee injury last year.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah. So does that count as a not like player prop?
Yeah,
I've got another one too. If you guys are interested.
Well, we'll get
in
to
that
that
case.
One
No, give us the other one.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one though, because you're right. Tom Brady. If you breathe on Tom Brady, roughing the passer.
Yeah.
And on top of everything you guys said about Patrick Mahomes, he's missing both of his left tackles, which is going to allow guys like Jason Pierre-Paul and Devin White. I think the odds of getting one are there, and you're not laying any juice with that bet, so I love it. But you said you had another one.
Yeah. I mean, everybody always looks at, I'm not into like the Gatorade, color of the Gatorade, or the coin toss, or, who wins the coin toss. I try to get a little bit meatier than that in my stuff. So there's a prop bet that the national anthem goes over 2 minutes. Now, this only happened like 6 times, I think, in the past 15 years that the anthem has gone over 2 minutes. But this year, it's a duet. It's a duet between Eric Church and Jasmine Sullivan. You think they're not going to stretch that out? Now they got to share time. These are singers. They are divas. They want their time. Now they got to share time. I'm thinking this thing is well going over 2 minutes. It might hit 2.5.
I don't hate that at all. That's a good one. I'm getting down on the roughing the passer one. You're now the second person that I respect in the gambling industry that has the rough. I don't know about being a diva. I'm going to throw that one to Dr. Kyle. Dr. Diva.
Dr. Diva.
What do you think about the national anthem prop over 2 minutes? I know that there are people that are looking for such an advantage that they have people at the rehearsals with a stopwatch looking to get the inside track on that. What do you think about the national anthem?
I like the over on 2 minutes. For the national anthem, I don't have anything for the national anthem. I don't know if I have a non-player one or a non-team one. But I feel like in the past that it's traditionally gone like 2 in change, like 206, 207. I like the theory there with a duet. That's that's a nice wrinkle to this. So, when we talk about prop bets often being averages of recent history, there isn't really a recent history to set precedent for a duet. So yeah, I think there might be a little bit of not necessarily butting heads, but nobody's going to want to be the lesser of the half of a total there. The only thing that's I don't know, one of the podcasts I was listening to earlier in the week was saying that number is often difficult to beat because the number can sort of leak to the public a little bit more easily than other things. But
yeah, because of rehearsals and stuff.
Yeah, like I don't know, and that's just like
but
I could have dreamt that for all I know at this point. You know, most nights there's some sort of football numbers in my dreams based on doing this with Memphis every week. I'm still having nightmares from our head-to-head bets, so you know, take it with a grain of salt.
All right, well, I'm gonna let you have a sip of that wine. I'll hit you with the one that I have. It's a combined prop between the two teams. On DraftKings now, you have to lay a fair amount of money, but I like it that much. You have to lay $1.43, but it's under 6.5 combined punts. And I mean, I just don't see this being a punt game. I don't think Tampa Bay can afford to. I don't think Tampa Bay can afford to punt. And the punter for the Kansas City Chiefs, he has exactly one punt in both playoff games combined. Very lonely fella right now. And both of these guys, they average on the season right at 6.6. So I just don't. I think it's going to be a lot of go for it. You can't trade field goals. You can't. Field position be damned. I like this one. I think the better of the two bets. There's also one where you can bet just Kansas City's punter under. I think you could even afford to take it under 2.5 if the juice is right.
Yeah.
But that was one that I saw. I'm not a huge fan of laying $1.43. But I think the odds are that strong. And I don't know what it opened up at. I know the one that I'm going to talk about again this week that I talked about last week, I've seen that number move from lay 110 to lay 130. So this one right here is probably moved as well. But I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of punting. I don't think they want to, and I don't think the NFL wants them to. So I'm looking under 6.5 punts. Kyle, anything on punts?
Well, I don't know if that was born out of my conversation that I started in the chat, because one of the first punt props I saw, just, DraftKings has a ton of them and they came out so early. So that was good to scour that. I can't bet DraftKings in New York, but I have a couple friends in New Jersey, luckily. And I came across, each punter, one was like punt for a touchback plus 330 for, I think, the Bucks punter, and like plus 260 for the other punter. And I was like, really, if I just bet both of these and any punt in the game is a touchback, I will at least make money. Come to find out, like, how low their punting totals were for the year. I mean, I think only two Super Bowls in history have gone less than 4. I don't know what the number is, under 6.5. But that was one where, like, I found it. I was like, that feels too good to be true. And then I think Lou in the bet chat was like, those are terrible odds for what you want. I'm like, yeah, I know. But now that I saw it and I sort of like it, I'll put a little bit on it. But then I don't know who threw it in the chat today, but the weather for Sunday looks like it could be rainy and thunderstorms during the game. And also, I don't want to allude too much to where I land with the sides and totals for this game, but I think having some inclement weather, it being the Super Bowl, I think the Bucs are probably going to try and establish the run early. I think we're going to see very much a conservative first half, even though maybe these teams didn't play very conservative during the year. So yeah, I don't know. I think if you like the Bucs and you like the under, you might think differently about the punt total. Maybe, I don't know, say over 6.5 is still a lot for these two teams, but yeah, take it for what it's worth. I don't love anything that I just said, but talk.
But you're just talking to talk. Okay. What was your prop? What did you give us one?
For a non-player related, or you want a player related one at this point?
Well, let's just talk props, man. This is an open forum. We're just having fun talking props.
I like this. But in that case, I want to talk about some props that I found a few weeks ago and how they went wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I found Tom Brady rushing yards over 0.5 on DraftKings. When I found it was like plus 160 or 170. And it was, and then I scoured like FanDuel, MyBookie. Those are really the only three I look at. But like that plus odds to only have 1 rushing yard. And we know Tom Brady as the 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or, third and goal from the 1, 4th and goal from the 1, the goose goat. I said, I'm taking that,
Yeah.
and, I did a little bit of research, my bare minimum research before I, Venmoed some money over to the state of New Jersey. And Tom Brady prior to this weekend in 9 Super Bowls has 10 carries for 30 yards. They're not necessarily evenly dispersed, but I mean, all he needs is 1. And as the underdogs, that's Vegas saying we don't see Tom Brady kneeling it out at any point in this game. So I'm a big fan of Tom Brady. Now, let me see.
Over half a yard. Yeah, I had to look at it because that just seems absurd, doesn't it? It's
I'm going to find it
right now.
My only fear to that would be is if Tampa Bay were to win the game. If Tampa Bay were to win the game, and let's say Tom had 2 or 3 third and 1 or 4th and 1 sneaks, and you got like 2 or 3 yards, right?
Yeah.
And if they're winning the game with like 30 seconds to go, and he kneels that out,
yeah.
So this would correlate to maybe if you think Kansas City was going to win the overall game, because
or if they're going to have the ball last.
Yeah.
Also true. So, what do you think about those, Ro? And then you have another prop for us.
Was that a question for me? Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
I didn't hear it. I like it. I like the punt one because it is. I mean, even when we look at what teams did this season, we saw a lot more teams going for it on 4th. And I mean, it was almost like punting wasn't an option anymore, right? It was like, nah, just go for it, especially in teams like this. Like the Bucks and like the Kansas City Chiefs that have really efficient offenses. You're seeing them do that a lot more. And you know that Tom Brady is calling the plays. He's the one out there. I mean, Byron Leftwich is too. Don't get me wrong. But, Bruce Arians came out and said, Belichick never let Brady coach, never let Brady make those decisions. He's like, I'm letting him do it because he's Tom Brady. He's been in this league longer than any of the coaches a lot of the time. So, yeah. So I think that I really like the punt one quite a bit. And like I said, I'm a huge fan. I had to go look at that. I didn't even see the Tom Brady over half a yard. I think that's worth the risk of the kneel down at the end, if he does, because I don't think that I think if the Bucks have the ball at the end, they're going to be trying to win the game. It's not going to be because they're ahead. I just don't see that happening. So, but I mean, it is the NFL. Anything can happen. So I like it. I like it over half a yard. But to go to my next, I'm going to do a team prop. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I like this KC over 3.5 touchdowns. So, I mean, the over under is 56. So everybody's expecting that it could be a really high scoring game. Yeah, I know that Kyle, you mentioned the weather earlier, but it's Florida. Here's what I lived in Tampa. I went to high school in the Tampa area. When it rains in Florida, all you do is wait 10 minutes and then it's all fine. It's all fine. It's usually not these long all day kind of thunderstorms. It's a hit it and quit it kind of situation. So I'm not worried about the weather at all. But yeah, KC over 3.5 touchdowns is negative 106 is what it's coming in at. They averaged 3.6 touchdowns per game. This is going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of slinging. Obviously, we know how fast the Chiefs can score. Remember last year during the playoffs and during the Super Bowl where they score so fast. They just have so many weapons they can throw at you. I mean, Tyreek Hill gets, one long touchdown pass and boom, he's done. Plus, their defense has been playing really well. And so they can score on defense as well. So when you're looking at, Tampa Bay's good. They're letting up about 2.6 touchdowns per game. But those were also to mere mortals, not the Kansas City Chiefs, except for the one game they played against them this year. So plus they are allowing 62.3% red zone scoring. So if you're getting into the red zone, you got a real good chance to score against them. So we look at that Bucs defense and it looks really good, but I really kind of like the I mean, if we're thinking that it's going to be close to the over, you have to think that Casey's going to get 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns.
I think we're foreshadowing. I think that's the term. We're foreshadowing to where we're going toward the end. And Dr. Kyle, not to poo-poo your reign, but not only is Rosalie correct, but in the last Super Bowl that I remember with a lot of rain, being a Colts fan, was Super Bowl 41 with Peyton Manning against the Rex Grossman-led Chicago Bears. The final score of that game was 29-17, and it was a steady rain the entire time. And nothing against Mr. Grossman and the Bears that game, but they got the 46. If the Bears and Colts can get the 46, I don't think the Bucs and the Chiefs will have any problems getting close to 50, which makes her for 3.5 over touchdown bet a long way. I've got one too that kind of bucks the trend. I have Tampa Bay.
No pun intended.
You see what I did? I'm a pro, damn pro. I have Tampa Bay over 2.5 sacks.
Easy, Chief.
I have Tampa Bay over 2.5. I see what you did there.
I just saw that one. I was like, I really like that number.
Well, here's the thing. Not only that, you get plus money. You get plus 115 on DraftKings. And here's the thing. Patrick Mahomes has been sacked 3 or more times in 4 games this year. And they gave up 2 to Tampa Bay the first time. But here's what I really like. Kansas City is going to be starting 2 backups at tackles. Both of their tackles are backups. Your boy Eric Fisher, you were one of the first people to tweet this, Dr. Kyle, as a doctor of physical therapy. He wasn't going to be here. Mitchell Schwartz, their Pro Bowl tackle on the other side, not going to be here. And then the last game when Vita Vea was back, when Vita Vea is back and eating up space, that really allows JPP and Shaq Barrett and Devin White to operate.
Yeah.
And on top of that,
don't forget my boy Ndamukong Suh.
Well, hold on a minute. Your boy Aaron Rodgers, he had only been sacked 20 times all year going into that game against Tampa Bay, and they had 5 sacks that game. And I got to say right now, Aaron Rodgers is probably if not maybe a little bit more mobile than Patrick Mahomes. So I know he gets the ball out quickly, but I think, man, with the plus money and the fact that they've seen him once already and 2 backup, I just think it's a recipe for going over. What do you think?
I love that one. No, I'm like we know Todd Bowles loves to blitz. This Bucs defense. I mean, Vita Vea, he broke his leg or ankle. I forget what it was specifically in that Bears game, and that front 7 was so daunting up until that game, and they were still good after that. But I just think that addition, and with White and Barrett back and healthy, I'm on board. Like, I'm about to text New Jersey and say, give me some Bucs over 2.5. And then on the other side of the ball, like you talked about with the offensive line, but we also have a Mahomes who, look, he's playing for the Super Bowl, so he might play a little bit riskier, but maybe we see him pull a Tom Brady in the pocket where he feels the pocket closing in and he knows he's got nothing, and maybe he just goes down. Like, that's not usually in the realm of possibilities for Mahomes, but with a banged up foot and coming off of what we at least the public thought was a concussion, maybe it wasn't. He was in the concussion protocol. We'll never know the whole story there because it was so close to the Super Bowl. But there's going to be something different about how Mahomes operates from a mobility standpoint, for sure. And I think one way to take advantage of that would be with this Bucs sack number. The only thing I'll say to that is where will Mahomes get sacked on the field? Do you think he'll get sacked in Buccaneers territory? Because if you like the Bucs to get over 2.5 sacks on the Chiefs, and a sack is roughly 6 to 7 lost yards on generally a passing down, would you not expect those drives to generally end with a
And
punt.
punts, I know where you were going. You were looking to correlate the two. I don't think the sacks that Patrick Mahomes takes are those long the Josh Allen type sacks where he runs
Oh my God.
he runs 97 yards the wrong direction.
Over in that Colts game.
Yeah, brutal.
I'm not still thinking about it. It's not making me drink to this day.
What was that? What was that, Ro? What were you going to jump in and say?
Oh, it's a good thing he gets so many rushing yards though to offset it, So he's gotta create the balance.
Yeah, I looked at some Josh Allen rushing props during the playoffs, and they were like, they were attainable.
Yeah.
But they just felt high. Like 38 yards for a quarterback not named Lamar Jackson feels risky. Or Kyler Murray. It felt risky. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But I think Patrick Mahomes is more of, if he takes a sack, it's going to be of the 1, 2, 3 yard variety. It's because someone gets there real quick, and it's not because they got him on a 5 or a 7-step drop. He's looking for someone to flash open. And again, the sealer for me on this bet was two things. One was the plus money, and two was the fact that Vita Vea is back. That dude will eat up so much. Oh, and then I guess the third thing is the two backup tackles. Hey, congratulations, you're in the Super Bowl. You're a backup tackle, and you get Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett, and Devin White. Good luck, fellas.
Hope you like pancakes.
Yeah. They call that just the fostering. What is it? Not fostering through fire. It's baptism by fire. Baptism by fire is what they call it.
There you go.
Yeah, where you just here you are, welcome.
Yeah.
Come and get
the mix. Good luck.
Yeah, the only thing that I worry about with the sacks is Patrick Mahomes is really, really good at getting the ball off. He is really good at making sure and not getting it intercepted most of the time. So, he's really good. He plays really smart. So getting him in a sack is a difficult thing. But, like you said, he's not – and even taking his legs out of it. Again, he's good at getting the ball away. So he knows he can always dump it off to, Kelsey, always get it to Tyreek. How many times have we seen him throw it seemingly blind right to Tyreek, like across his body? And you're like, how did he do that? How did he do that?
He's a cyborg.
So, but, lack of two tackles. I am just amazed by Vita Vea as well and just what he does for that Bucs defense. So,
all right, well, let's move it on. Let's go to some more player props, just like individuals. You have one, Ro?
I got one.
Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
You go. No, Ro, you go. Ladies first.
No, you go.
I'm scratching my back over here.
Yeah. Have we decided who's going yet?
You're going.
Yeah, ladies first.
All right, I'm going. All right, I'm going back to my boy, the Honey Badger, right? Honey Badger, an interception for him is plus 300. We saw Tom Brady throw 3 interceptions last week versus Green Bay, and he threw 2 in Tampa versus KC when they played at the end of November. Honey Badger was one of those. And the Badger, he leads the team with 6 interceptions on the year. And the fact that he's going against Bruce Arians, who is old coach, he's the one who drafted him. I just think that we're going to see Tom Brady in a lot of situations where when Tom Brady is under pressure, he makes mistakes. And Steve Spagnuolo, kind of has Tom Brady's number, right? We've seen what he did to him in that Super Bowl, right? Where
he was Giants defensive
when he was the coordinator for the Giants, right? Where they ruined their perfect season. You look at that. The Patriots that year were scoring 36.8 points per game. And the the Giants came in and just completely annihilated them. So Spagnuolo was unrelenting in the blitzes with that. He's been that way in Kansas City as well. I mean, we watched what they did to Jimmy Garoppolo. Yes, Jimmy Garoppolo is not, not Tom Brady, but they thought he was going to be Tom Brady, right? They thought he was Tom Brady Jr., and he was just like, I mean, he was forced into inaccurate throws all over the place last year. So I can see when we have seen this year, and I love Tom Brady, think he's fantastic, but we've seen that when Brady gets flustered, when he's under pressure, he's making those mistakes. He's throwing interceptions. So there's no Antonio Brown, right? Isn't that still that I saw that earlier? There's no Antonio Brown.
He actually returned to practice today.
What?
He actually returned to practice today. Limited.
Oh, he did?
Yes. So there's a chance he's probably – I don't know that most players, if they're not, like, dead, they're going to miss the game. Unless you're Eric Fisher, and then he's going to miss the game. But, hey, I like the Tom Brady prop because he also probably should have had the interceptions against the Saints as well. All three of them got overturned because the defender was barely out of bounds. And then two of them had, like, some fluky, the ball barely touched the ground. So he has been making some, and that's the Bruce Arians offense, right? It's the no risk it, no biscuit. You got to put the ball out there. And Honey Badger's the ultimate opportunist. So, getting 3-1 on a guy with his level of stealing ball is not a bad thing. What about you, Kyle? What's your player prop? Because you weren't here last week when I gave mine, Kyle.
No, I mean, I was here, but I wasn't here. So Tyreek Hill, longest reception, over 27.5 yards. And that's a big number. And I think that might be something to balk out for most players. But, Tyreek Hill is arguably the fastest guy in the league. And he can burn you deep down the sideline, but he can also catch a bubble screen and go the distance. He can catch a 5-yard slant and go the distance. And I just see, not to allude to maybe what you'll talk about at some point, but I think we like Patrick Mahomes over 325 passing yards. This team is so opportunistic and explosive on the offensive side of the ball. And not to mention, like, if the Bucs are blitzing, that is you got to risk it to biscuit the defensive. The defensive version is like they blitz so much. So maybe they'll get to Mahomes, 3 or 4 times, but there will be times where they don't get to him, and they'll have corners and safeties stuck on an island with Hill and Kelsey, and all it's going to take is a little bit of separation for him to go the distance. And that was lay 112 either direction. I don't know if it's moved a whole lot since then.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. It has moved. It's now lay 137 on the over.
Oh, wow. We got it good then.
Yeah, it's moved quite a bit. It's still at 113 plus 113 on under 27.5.
Yeah. Well, that was one that Al got us on. So we do a group chat with some of our Patreons over at patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. And the one that you insisted that we got on early, as was the one, I'll go ahead because it ties in the same thing for me. Last week when I gave this one out, it was lay $1.12. Now it's lay $1.30, and that's Tom Brady over 62.5% completion percentage on the game. You look at Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, he averages not quite 66% completion in there, and it's really he involves his running backs a lot more. Those are high percentage passes. Think about James White in the Atlanta game where they came back from that 28-3. Sorry, Falcons fans, I'm still bringing it up, but he brought it back from 28-3, and he did that. The week of the NFC Championship game, I had a prop bet on Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receptions. He had that in the first half. He's got Leonard Fournette more involved in the passing game. And they have got this thing juiced. It's at 130. I think it's still an okay value. But when there are so many props, you can tell the ones that the professionals are on early because the juice continues to go up pretty quickly. And that's both the pro and con of the numbers coming out so soon. if you're in tune to it and you're watching what's going on, you can do it. I guess at one of the books in Vegas, I guess it looked like a feeding frenzy. I guess all these lines, I think it was the Westgate, that the minute all of these lines came out, as one guy put it, it looked like the cantina scene in the original Star Wars. Yeah, with the big oboe looking thing. So yeah, you got to get in on these things early. But Kyle, you got a piece of this action with me on this bet.
Yeah.
What do you think about Tommy over? I mean, I thought, man, he should trip over 62.5. He did it in what was it, 13 of 19 games so far this year.
Yeah, no, the second that's one where like, love the group chat, but sometimes it could be we're big, so there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen at this point, and like we got a lot of people's money in the pool sometimes, so we don't want to jump to anything too quickly without having enough agreement. But the second Memphis said that, I was like, oh my God, we need this number. There's no way it moves in the other direction and we get a better number here.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately we decided to go over the the completions, figuring that if Tampa Bay is behind, that they'll that he'll be throwing the entire game. And so one other way to capture 62.5% is on the completion side with getting I think that was still minus 112 or maybe even 110. But yeah, that 62.5%, that's nice, because even if the Bucks are ahead most of the game, like you capture something there. And yeah.
Let me ask you this though. Would you change your mind if I told you that in the playoffs, these 3 games in the playoffs, he hasn't gone over 56%, actually over 55.5% completion rate? Against Washington, against New Orleans, against Green Bay, has not gone over 55.5%.
It doesn't bother me in this particular game. I don't think the nerve or I got to go back. I just had his game logs pulled up. I mean, Tom Brady is the America's greatest American. Now, as a Colts fan, I'm supposed to hate him, but it's hard to hate somebody who loves the game of football so much.
Mm-hmm.
He said he wants to play
I love Tom Brady, so.
I'm not supposed to like him, but I do. Yeah, I can't get the screen to pull up, but yeah, it's somewhat concerning, but 2.5 for him in the Super Bowl. He's only been under that number out of 2 out of his 9.
Yeah.
The weather could be a factor. It's just such a low hanging bar. And yeah, it was 55, 54, and 55 in the 3 playoff games, but this one's at home. And at home, he's also had much better success. So it's not supposed to be a home game, but it's a home game. That factored into it as well. Go ahead, Kyle.
I also like, if AB plays, what game, whatever game they lost him in early. That can really screw up a game plan, as he's sort of been a security blanket at times. Rojo should be healthier. He can catch some balls out of the backfield. Mike Evans, who's been battling injuries a lot of the season, a lot of his career, he's, finally both teams have this 2-week gap where the guys who are sort of, been playing maybe 70, 80, 90% have a good shot to feel as close to 100% as they have in a long time. Yeah. Look, those are definitely concerning statistics, but there's also, we could say that's recency bias, and maybe that helped us in a sense that because his numbers have been so low the past 3 weeks against the Washington defense has been one of the most daunting all season long, as well as the Saints. The Packers not so much. So I don't, I watched that game, and there were definitely some balls that like went off some guys' fingers. I don't know if that gets him to 62.5, but I think. And
also too in the first meeting.
Right.
The first meeting, he was at almost 66% between these two teams. He was 65.85, so that factored into it as well. So that was mine.
Look at his. I mean, over the season, he only went under it 3 times, right? He only was under that completion percentage 3 times. So I get what you're saying. I'm playing devil's advocate here. So.
No, I love it. I love the questions. I love.
That's why
I love
you're
when
here.
somebody
That's
else
why
can
you're
go
here.
at Memphis besides.
You gotta. But to me, the last 3 games, that is a little concerning to me. Just But it is the Super Bowl. It is Tom
But
Brady.
he won 3 road playoff games to get to the first home Super Bowl of all time.
Which is pretty freaking cool. So.
That's so unreal. Like, how many times have we heard, oh, it was at the Meadowlands. Maybe this is the Jets or the Giants here. Or, oh, it's going to be at the Cowboys Stadium. This could be there. Like, and sure enough, like, Tom Brady's like, yeah, I'll just play at the Bucs this year and see what happens. And sure enough, Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. Did he literally pick Tampa Bay because he knew the Super Bowl was going to be there and he just wanted to troll the entire NFL? Like,
the entire NFL. What? It's never happened.
It's never happened. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
no, it's Tom Brady. Hold my soda water.
Yeah, my avocado smoothie. It says avocado smoothie. You should know this, Dr. Kyle.
This is a non-alcoholic beer, Tom Brady. So I think
he's real proud of you right now. All right. Does anyone else have a player prop before we move into the game? Did I miss any player props?
I do have one. I don't know if you'd consider it a player prop, but I like the Super Bowl MVP prop too, right? Mm-hmm. Trying to figure out who the Super Bowl MVP is going to be. And so when you look at it and you look at what position wins the MVP award based on, you look at the over-unders, right? So when you look at, if it's 52 points or over, it is 82% of the time, it is a QB. So it's like out of the past 11 games, it's been, or the 11 where it's been the over-under over 52. 9 times it was a QB. 1 time it was a wide receiver. And the other time it was a kick returner. So it's yeah.
Is that Desmond Howard?
Yes, it is.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that game.
Check out the big brain on Kyle.
Yeah, wow. I that was. I mean, I don't want to say. It was one of the first Super Bowls I watched, probably. But,
that one?
Yeah, what was that like? Was that 90?
I'd have to look it up. But it was
99.
It's just a crazy thing. So obviously, you're leaning QB there. I would maybe take both QBs on the MVP race, and I didn't look to see what DraftKings has it at. For Brady and Mahomes. I probably lean more Mahomes, although I hate back-to-back. Mahomes is -106. Brady is +210 on DraftKings. So
this is all tying together. Tom Brady throws for 65%, 25 completions, and he wins the Super Bowl MVP. We're all winners.
Yeah.
Love it.
Except the Chiefs. The Chiefs would then be losers.
Well, but they're not.
But they won
part
last
of
year.
Yeah,
I know.
They'll survive.
It was funny. I was listening to another radio show today, and they were talking about when Tom Brady played the greatest show on turf, at that time it was the St. Louis Rams.
Yes.
And it got me thinking about this game, and I was like, can he really do this again? Can he take at the time the highest scoring, highest flying team? And because I feel like the minute that I bet against them, as we go into this, into the game, I don't really have a feel for the over under. I think it's a great number. It's hard to go over 57.5. So many things have to go right to get 57.5 or 56. Depends on
57.5 now. The last I saw was at 56.
Depends on.
I think you can still get a 56.5 in some places, like lay 112.
Okay.
I think it was 56.5, holding strong.
On DraftKings, it's 56.5.
Okay. When I wrote this, it was at 57 in one book and 57.5. So it may have went down with that weather news now that meteorologist Kyle is on it. And
let me go get the meteorology hat.
I know the Chiefs are now +3.5 or -3.5, so that's a concern as well. If I'm going to take a side, I don't think that I'll bet the overall game itself. I would have to take Kansas City -3. If I can wait till it goes back to -3. When I saw it yesterday on DraftKings, it was Kansas City -3, lay $1.15.
It's still Kansas City -3 on.
This morning it was 3.5.
I'm looking at it right now. And let me refresh my browser. Hold please.
Well, I've listened to other. Yeah, it is. It is -3, -115. So that
Yeah.
would be my bet. I've listened to other podcasts before where one co-host in one state and one co-host in another state had two completely different numbers.
Wow.
So it wouldn't have surprised me if that had been the case. But I can't go against Kansas City. But every time I've bet against Tom Brady, I had Washington plus the points which they got there, but Tom Brady won. I had the Saints beating Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay won outright. I had Green Bay over Tampa Bay. They won outright. So I think you and I'm reverse good luck for Tampa Bay. I just keep betting against them and they keep winning, and you bet on them and they win. So Rosalie, what's your feel on the game? Are you rooting Kansas City, or are you betting Tampa Bay plus the 3?
Well, let me preface it by saying this. I went to high school in the Tampa area. I love the Tampa Bay area. Used to date Bucks players when I lived there, long time ago. I love Bruce Arians. He was the coach here in Arizona. We love him. Still call him coach here. Big, huge fan of his. I'm a big, huge fan of Tom Brady's as well. I truly do think he's the greatest QB to play ever. I love Godwin a whole heck of a lot. Love Gronk. How can you not? And I even love the coordinators there in Tampa Bay. But I think that this game will still go to the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just, and that's actually the -3. You look at Kansas City versus the spread. They haven't been great this year, but they've been bigger favorites for most of the year, right? When you look at what their breakdown is as far as against the spread, they've been +15, +8, +10. They've been higher favorites. Last week they were -3 and they blew out the Buffalo Bills. So I think I don't think that they'll blow out Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay will keep it a little closer, but I don't think as close as 3 points. And I agree with you that half a point is a big deal. It's a real big deal because that 3.5. I mean, I learned from Crack when we were doing our show Wisecracks back before the season started, that half a point is a big deal. And as I go through the season watching it, I'm like, he's absolutely right. It is a big deal. It makes a big difference. So, I think that Kansas City wins this, and I'll give up the 3 points.
All right, Kyle. We have 2 Kansas City -3s. This is your chance to get even with me, by the way, if you want to take Tampa Bay plus the 3, as you are currently down.
Because I could take it +3.5 with my bookie laying 115.
Okay.
Like we talked about, that half point is key, and it's I can bet my bookie in New York State. At least however I set up my account. I don't know if that's fishy or not, but we'll find that out when I try and withdraw my funds someday, if I have funds to withdraw. But I like you said, that half point is a key number. For the majority of last week, I was refreshing, waiting to see if the early money was coming in on a hot Tom Brady. That is football hot, not personally hot, but personally hot too. So to each their own. You can bet him for what he looks like. I don't care. Whatever might have got that Kansas City number down to 2.5, and it never got there. It got to 3, and it is back to 3.5 for the Bucks. And look, it feels like if you like the Chiefs, probably the Chiefs money line is the way to go. If you like the Bucks and you like a total, if you can get an in-game teaser, like same game teaser with one of your apps, with my bookie, I haven't had a problem with same game teasers all season long. If you like the Bucks and you want to do a 6 or 7 point teaser to 9.5 to 10 or 10.5, I think if it's a 6 point teaser, you're laying 120. If it's a 7 point teaser, you're laying 140. But then you get that reassurance of the Bucks only having to cover 9.5 or 10.5, which in a Super Bowl, that should be very competitive. Even if the Chiefs are up by 14 going into the fourth quarter, you have to think that this Tom Brady Bucs-led offense is going to fight tooth and nail to at least get within a possession, to have a fighting chance, with 3, 4, 5 minutes left in the game. And then it'll probably be up to the Chiefs to see if they can sustain a 4-minute game-ending drive like they have done at times this year, like they did against the Saints up 3, and so on and so forth. But if, gun to my head, like I am taking the Bucs getting 3.5 minus 115. I also, when the number first came out, I was on the under. I've gone back and forth with it, but the familiarity, it's in Tampa Bay, the health of the Bucs defense being at an all-time high, the health of the Chiefs offense being at an all-time low. And then, hearing some other talking heads talk about how Super Bowls in general generally get off to a slower, more conservative start, especially Tom Brady Super Bowls. Again, 9 of his 10 Super Bowls were with Belichick, so this one very much is an outlier. And maybe that won't be the case. Maybe the Bucs will, win the coin toss, take the ball, and score on their first possession, and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh shit!" But it very much, like you guys said, it is the right number. Like 56.5 is like, 30 to 27. That was the score of the game in November, correct?
27-24.
Okay. All right. 27-24. 30-27 very much feels like it could be a range, a median range of outcomes on the standard deviation curve. If I place a bet on this game, I think I will probably do a teaser and get it Bucs 9.5, and then honestly, probably at that point, I'm going over just because who wants to root for less points scored in the Super Bowl? That's the thing with liking the under in a game, is you don't want to watch this game. And that's why I love all the props we've been able to dig into, is because the props gives you something to root for with allowing the game to sort of organically happen without being mad if, like what if like a kick return touchdown or a punt return touchdown within the first 5 to 10 minutes of a game, like then you're like, oh my God, why did I bet the under? Like, you don't want that feeling. And speaking to the totals, if you like the over, I think the way to play the over is wait until in game. That's not my original idea. That's something I've heard, Fez and RJ talk about over the past probably month or two, if like let it get off to a slow start like it notoriously does, and then take it when it hits 54.5, maybe after the first punt or turnover on downs or field goal. And then if the first touchdown is scored on the first drive, then it's okay. You didn't lose any money by not betting it.
Yeah.
Well, you and your teasers, I'm going to put you in charge of becoming the in-game betting expert between now and the start of next season, as this one right here is wrapping up. And speaking of wrapping up, we're right around that magic 1 hour mark. So, Rosalie, what else is going on with you? I know you're out there in the Arizona area somewhere enjoying some warm weather while Kyle is up to 2 feet of snow, and I am freezing.
82 here yesterday, 78 here today. So I'm dealing with the sunshine, Kyle. I'm dealing hard.
Oh, poor Rosalie.
Really hard.
It's so hard putting all this sunscreen on all the time.
I know. It adds another 5 minutes to my get ready time. So so you'll see me Sunday. DraftKings will be hosting their pregame show on their YouTube channel on SNY back there in New York. You'll see it, and then they air it all over the place. But we'll be doing that with all the guys over there, talking about DFS, a little bit of props and things like that as well. I haven't gotten the show rundown yet, but you can catch me there. And then the off season, I'll probably just be playing the stock market until we get to draft time.
Nice.
That's awesome. Give her all the Doji coin. Is it Doji, Kyle?
I like to pronounce it doggy coin because I just like to picture like dogs trading crypto over their dog phones.
Well, I bought it at like 0.8 of a cent. I'm riding the wave right now. So
That's
But
awesome.
The way
That's
it
awesome.
didn't it crash on the beach?
what? Not for me. So I have two buddies. We all have birthdays in January. So the three of us went to dinner. It was the night of the Rams and Seattle playoff game. And one of my buddies is like, you got to get on this crypto thing. So he sent me, and it was not even worth a penny at the time. Now it's worth like 3.3 cents. I've like 4x'd my money. I told my son, I was like, if this thing hits Bitcoin money, we're retiring.
Can you cash out now? That's about as high as you're getting.
Yeah. I did cash out my initial investment, so I'm free rolling on the rest of it. I'm dumb. I'm not
Nice.
crazy.
Playing
like
on
that.
the casino's money. Good job.
Well, make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. She is at Rosalie Michaels. He is at DWZ_Dr. PT. I'm at DWZ Memphis. We'll all be around all weekend. Make sure you tune in to the DraftKings YouTube channel on Sunday leading up to the big game. But on behalf of Rosalie, Kyle, and myself, remember, money won is twice as sweet as money earned. We'll see you back here in time for the draft with some draft props. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Good luck on Sunday.